This is the Creative Market Free Goods Roundup for the week of September 8th, 2014. There's 6 different really cool free goods this week, but they are free this week only. So if when you're watching these videos, you see any goods that you think you might have use for, just check out the description of this video where I'll place links to each one of them. So I'm going to start at the top here with the 3D Retro Text Creator. The first thing you want to do is make sure your Actions window, which is right here on my screen, and your History window are both active. To do that, you can go to Window, and then Actions is at the top here, and History is kind of near the middle. And then as you can see, I have a logo right here on its own layer. And once you have the action loaded, you just want to go to your Actions window right here and hit the Play All Effects button inside the 3D Retro Text Creator folder right here. Just select Play All Effects and then hit the play button right here. And it takes quite a while to do, around 30 seconds, so I've already done this. And once it's done running, it will direct you to check out the History window and just jump on over there. And now you can kind of scroll through all these different options, so I'm just going to do that really quick. There's a ton of different effects here, so as you can see, as I scroll through these different history states, which is kind of an interesting way of going about this, you can see all the different effects here. Of course, depending on what colors you chose initially, it'll actually change the way this looks. I kind of use a mid-tone blue on a gray background, so that's why these are turning out this way. And there's bold outlines. The top ones right here are more of a tonal. The bold outlines will have black outlines around them. And then we have bold outlines but inverted, so this would be really good for dark backgrounds or even photos, stuff like that. There's quite a few different effects to choose from, so you can go ahead and just kind of scroll through all these when you're trying to figure out what works best for your project. These inset ones have almost an embossed kind of look going on with them. I'll just keep scrolling down through these. And now we're going to be going up to the stripe, which I think is actually a really cool effect. You can tell the stripe is in the actual fill section of this right here. And once again, a lot of these I think would turn out really good on photo backgrounds. So that's definitely worth testing out if that's something you think might work well for you. And then on to contrast, which once again, I think these would work particularly well on photos or where you have a background that might be really busy since they have a pretty bold black outline going around them. And here's the last one right here. So as you can tell, there's a really huge amount of different options to pick from, and it's really fast to scroll through this history state and select which one you think might work the best. It's an interesting way to go through so many different options. I think it's kind of a unique way of going about it. So I definitely think this is a pretty cool action with a ton of different possibilities to pick from. So just go in there, run it, and see what works best for what you're working on. And if you think this looks like something you might have use for, definitely pick it up. And next we have 190 Lightroom presets. This has 190 different Lightroom presets, so it's an absolutely massive collection of presets for Lightroom, but I actually don't own Lightroom, so I'm just going to quickly go through the preview images supplied with this. And for anyone who does have Lightroom, definitely leave a comment if you pick this up and check it out to let other people know what you think. But just going through these particular images, it looks like there's a very nice range of effects that goes from very vibrant to this, to something a little bit more subtle like this one, and then you get into almost faded or vintage effects, like this image right here, and particularly this image right here that looks extremely vintage. So if you are a Lightroom user, this is probably worth checking out just because there's 190 effects. There's probably something there that you'll like. And once again, if you do have Lightroom and you pick this up and you want to leave a comment to let other people know what you think, do that in the comment section of this video. That would be very helpful. So if this looks interesting to you and you do have Lightroom, definitely check this one out. And next up is 60 iOS 7 icons. The included file formats for this are Illustrator, EPS, SVG, and PSD. I'm inside Illustrator here to show this since that's a really quick and easy way for me to zoom around. And there's 60 different icons included, and they're all for iOS 7, so they're very geometric in their appearance, and they also work very well as an icon family. All these look very consistent, so you could definitely use these on a website or an app, something similar, and they should all work very nicely together. There's a nice variety of things, from the more standard things like a Facebook logo, for example, to much more uncommon things like this very abstract gun right there. So definitely check this one out and kind of check through all the different options. There's a whole bunch of different stuff to pick from, including game controllers like this that are always my favorite in icon sets. So just kind of check out all these icons, see if there's anything that might be helpful for what you're working on or for whatever project you're working on. Once again, there's a really huge, vast selection of these to pick from, and they do work very nicely together, so that's a big plus with this particular set. And with this many different file formats included, hopefully there's something in there that will work for whatever program you're working inside. So if this pack looks like something you might want to use or have use of, definitely check it out. And these bottom 3 goods are free on Facebook, so to get them, just hit this free on Facebook button, like Creative Market, and then the download links will appear. It's super fast and easy to do. And the first one I'm going to go through is Abstract Lights. This one's pretty straightforward. There's 2 different bokeh images of abstract lights. So there's this one that's very colorful, and then this one that's in a light cream color. So the images are actually quite large. If I go to image and then image size, this one's 3888 pixels by 2592. So it's nice and big for most projects. And you can either use these as standalone background objects to kind of overlay stuff on top of, or I have a photo in the background here. So if I were to go to my blending mode and set it to something like lighten, you can tell it does a really neat job of actually overlaying this effect over my image. And you can of course go to your actual bokeh image right here, and you can either hit Control U on a PC or Command U on a Mac, and then bring up hue saturation, kind of shift the colors around too if that's something you're interested in. hit colorize to make them all the same color. So it's a pretty cool pack with 2 different bokeh images to choose from, and if you think you'll have use for these, definitely pick this one up. And next we have vintage style borders. Included in this file are Photoshop brushes as well as PNGs with transparent backgrounds. I went ahead and gave the PNGs a white background just to make these a little bit easier to see. But as you can tell, these look like they're actual vintage elements. They were perhaps scanned in from a vintage document. I'm not 100% sure on that. But looking at the line quality and overall consistency, I would say that's probably the case. So it's pretty cool. These are probably authentic vintage elements to pick from. And there's 12 of them, so there's a nice selection. And all the elements chosen would make really good borders or frames for projects that you want to give a really authentic vintage look. So I'm just going to kind of go through these different ones so you can kind of see what's included and get a good idea of what the overall pack contains. If I zoom in on the line work here, you can tell how it looks very close up. This is at 200%. So it definitely has that unique kind of rough vintage feel to it. And once again, if I turn off the background that I added on my own, you can tell these are transparent backgrounds. I'll zoom in on this one since this has that really cool etching look to it. This one will make for a really fantastic border or frame. Here's another one that would work really well as a border or a frame. With fall coming up, this pattern right here would be really great for anything that you want to give that kind of autumn feel to it. Here's a nice floral pattern to go from. So overall, a pretty diverse pack. Once again, these work really well as borders, either on 2 sides, like I could see these on the top and the bottom of a document, or if you want to tile it to go around all 4 sides, I think that would work equally as well. And also something to consider, you could use these to break up text. So let's say you have the body of type up here and you want to break it up with something to add your main body of text below it. I think a lot of these would work pretty well for that. So a cool pack. Once again, there are Photoshop brushes as well as transparent background PNGs, just like these right here included. And if you think these will be useful for you, definitely check this pack out. And last but not least, we have hand-painted seamless patterns. I have Illustrator open here since that's the file format that this is provided in, and as you can tell, there's 4 different patterns. There's 4 up top here that are singular colors, and then 4 on the bottom here that have actual colored backgrounds. So just make sure you have window and then swatches selected. It's right here on the screen, kind of near the bottom. And then you can see the actual swatch palette that will have all these patterns preloaded into it. So if I zoom out here and I select one of these swatches, I'm selected on this yellow leafy one right here. I'm going to draw a shape, just a quick star. So you can see that it quickly and easily applies this seamless pattern into the star. And then you can go through and select all the different options that are available here. There's actually a few different color variations that aren't shown in the bottom 4 here. So go ahead and kind of play around, select through all these. There's a nice selection, including this one right here that I didn't see in these 4 swatches right here, but I'm pretty sure it's part of this pack since I don't know where it would have came from otherwise. So these patterns work really nice. They're pretty fun. They have a very nice handmade feel to them. So that's always a pretty big plus if you're going for a bit more crafty kind of handmade look with your project. And once again, these are really easy to use and very quick to just sort through, kind of apply to a custom object. And of course, you can also use the pen tool and just draw a custom shape. Like these can be applied to whatever shape you're working on, and they'll instantly adjust as your shape changes. So a very cool pack, a nice handmade look. If I zoom in very quickly, you can tell these have kind of a painterly brushed look. So if you think you'll have use for these seamless patterns, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. So that's it for this week's free goods, and remember they are free this week only, so if any of these look like something you might use, be sure to check out the description of this video. There'll be links for them there. And if you found this video helpful, please like and favorite, and if you want to see this video every week, please subscribe. This video is released every Monday to let you know what's new and free at Creative Market. Thanks for watching.